Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Thursday, the 30th day of, are we the 30th? Yeah, the 30th day of December, 2021. Well, I hope everybody's had a good week so far. We're having postal issues again. I think I'm going to start having Amazon send it to there's a place in town. It's like a locker, only it's not a locker. It's like a location where you can pick up your packages. I think I'm just going to do that. They told us at the postal place the last time this happened. Uh, a couple of weeks back that they don't have a driver for out here anymore. They have one, I guess, for the mail, or maybe they don't. I don't know. But there's a secondary one for package delivery, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what their problems are, but I can't believe, well, I mean, I guess I can believe it. Everyone's having trouble with the Postal Service, but we weren't really. Uh, and so why this is happening, I don't know. They said they've had people come in from other postal facilities as far away as Montana. I don't know. I don't know. So if anybody else has heard stuff like that, leave it in the comments. I'm just interested to see who else is experiencing this same sort of deal. But we literally we don't live in town, but we live in a big area where there's a lot of homes. So we've never had problems like this before. So hopefully this is on its way to getting resolved. But I don't know. Again, we didn't and he didn't leave a little notice or nothing. He just didn't show up. I got notified and it was ridiculous. So anyway, if anyone else is experiencing it, let me know and we'll see if we can compare notes here. Maybe some if you've got some solutions that have worked for you, let me know because I'm running out of options here. So anyway, that's enough of that. We have with the 30th day, we have a three numerology. So self-expression, optimism, imagination, reason, being detail oriented. Now this is from today's esoteric influences. I do the weekly one and it comes out on Saturday if you sign up for the newsletter, and you can do that over on the left side panel of my blog, Stepping Aside, over at imsteppingaside.com. You can put your email in there and it'll just come to you on Saturdays in your inbox. Or you can wait to see it on the blog on Sundays. It's fine either way. But this is actually from today's influences. And so I've been going over them at the beginning of this now for a little while, and I think it works. Hopefully you like that. The today's rune. Now this won't be the one from today's reading or anything, but today's rune is Kenaz from the esoteric influences. And this is the torch, or clarity, or revelation, awakening, transformation, healing, well-being. It represents the light of spirit, basically, awakening and illuminating our path. Poor is the geomancy rune, though, and that's scattered little boy energy. It's risk, it's unstable. So essentially, what I think it's trying to suggest here is that you may experience some unstable influences, or you may feel like your focus is scattered, or impulses are off, or whatever. And it's asking you to then draw the light of spirit down into your awareness so that you understand what's really taking place, and you can make a better decision maybe. The sun's in Capricorn, the moon is in Scorpio until it switches to Sagittarius this afternoon at 3:08 Pacific Standard Time. Yule continues through tomorrow. And let's see, the magical focus today, Jupiter governs magic. The favorability is very good. There's going to be some recommendations over on the Patreon page if you want to look at that. You can sign up there and follow me there. And there's a link below the video for all the places I'm at, so you can just check that out. Also for the blog, that's there too. But we're talking, if you want to work magic today, it can focus on social justice, healing, abundance, income growth, achieving goals and desires. Jupiter makes everything bigger. Either way, on either end of the spectrum, it makes everything bigger. So increases the effect of it and all of that. Jupiter's now in Pisces, and so until May, about the middle of May. And we're going to be looking at increased compassion collectively and individually, increased empathy, that sort of thing. So things may start to resolve a little bit, maybe for some people, if relationships have been, strained of late. uh, we'll just see. I think that there's also going to be truth that comes out. There's the justice aspect of this. And so that may also help set us on a different course. And so collectively, we may be looking at things like that. But as for today, it may take a creative solution to deal with the impulsivity of others, especially if others become aggressive or hostile. Not everyone's going to respond to the transformative influence that Kenaz offers, the clarity, the truth, nor do they comprehend the truth of the moment. Although you are compassionate and clear and speak from the heart, you may find that others aren't as receptive to your message as you would like. This may be a time where you let go of individuals who are causing more grief than anyone else in your life, anything else in your life, and move on to new relationships that make a more positive contribution. It just may be a time where you have to kind of shift things a bit. You've tried, it's not working, and then maybe over the course of the next 6 months, if you do that, maybe they'll come to their senses and try to reconnect. That could be the kind of energy that we're looking at right now. The clarity you offer comes from an inspired vision that many are unable to hear, let alone accept, and you may be inclined to take some time away from others should the situation become too chaotic. Again, perseverance can take you only so far, and cooperative efforts, at least on your part, may ultimately be in vain. But don't. That's not necessarily going to be a forever thing. Again, Jupiter in Pisces is kind of an interesting thing. Lots of great things can happen as a result of it. So, just keep stand your ground, and establish your boundaries, and don't take any nonsense off people anymore. And if it means that you've got to step back from a relationship, then do it. Maybe that and that alone will stimulate them to figure things out. So anyway, let's see what today's rune is, though, for the reading. We'll see if any of this, either one of them, correspond to what's happening in the esoteric influences today. Well, we have Tiwaz, again, standing your ground. Tiwaz is a spiritual warrior within. It's the 17th rune of the Elder Futhark, so you're looking at a numerology of 8, and so strength, inner strength. It's oaths, it's pledging your troth, it's the god Tyr. And it's basically accessing the spiritual warrior within to stand firm on your values and principles, to stand up for others. But again, this is talking about something that's not ego-based, but that is spirit-based, okay? So it's spirit informing the soul versus ego informing the soul that's encased in this physical form, this illusion of physical form that we're in. And so let's see, though, what the geomancy rune is going to be. I'll go ahead and I'll get this stuff out of my way. I've got next week's runes here on the desk, on my table here. Let's see. Oh, okay. We have Caput Draconis. Now, Caput and Kata are interesting. They actually are governed by the north and south nodes of the moon. Is this Kata? Oh, this is Kata. Kata is governed by the south node of the moon, and that means karma or past life kinds of things coming into play. But Caput Draconis is governed by the north node of the moon, so there you're looking at the future. And so usually when this comes up, you're talking about a new day, maybe new experiences forming. And again, if you're going to stand up and set your boundaries and stand up for justice and fairness and all of that, I mean, there could be something. I mean, this could even be like a legal decision that could be impacting your future. That could be another way of looking at this, a more tangible kind of thing. But then it would be more of the below side of as above, so below. Geomancy runes reflect the earth energy. And so I look at the geomancy as the below side, and then the Elder Futhark as the similar to the major arcana as soul archetypes, where higher self is coming in and saying and reminding us of these higher principles that we should be following, and not allowing the ego to set the tone for the day. Perthro's been coming up a lot lately in the readings, and that's about fate and who determines that, and it's the whole thing about the Norns control the fate of men. Well, if if only they could, right? Then things would be done from a much loftier perspective. But as it is now, the ego seems to be on overdrive, and lots of things are going on that shouldn't be, that are very challenging to deal with. In terms of our relationships with others, I mean, just in terms of feeling safe, out in the world, way too much ego going on. And it really does impact, how we respond, how we initiate. It impacts everything. So let's go ahead then, and with Tiwaz and Caput Draconis in mind, something new could be, a new path could be opening, and it has to do with reestablishing your boundaries and standing up for ideals, and being honorable, and all of that. That would be great. I mean, if people could just do that, then we would have a much easier time of it, I think. I'm still dealing with a new deck. It's harder and heck. It's very slippery. It doesn't want to cooperate. So anyway, so that's enough shuffling, I think. I shuffled before I started. So anyhow, let's take our first 3 cards and see what we have. Well, this is interesting. We have the 7 of Wands, we have the Sun, and we have the 2 of Cups. So in a way, this kind of the Sun, of course, would align with Kenaz from today's esoteric influences. Poor might be, well, I've just been well, actually, poor, we won't even talk about that. I don't think that's in here at all. But I think Tiwaz is involved in the 7 of Wands. Here we're standing our ground. We're defending ourselves. The other thing he's doing, he's up above everything, isn't he? And in a sense, that's the 7. The 7 energy is about balance. It's also the number for magic. But it's also about stepping back and taking an observational role. When you do that, that's accessing higher self. Ego wants to react. But spirit says, and the soul says, well, okay, or well, higher self says, we're gonna take a look at this. We're gonna see the wholeness of the situation, try to understand all the factors involved before we act. And in a sense, that's what he's doing. But there is an element of defending his ground, defending his values, defending his principles, defending his land, as all this other stuff comes in. But you see, he's above it all, and he's able to see what's really going on there, to make a good decision instead of one that is purely reactive. So there's an element to this of observation. And with him standing above everything, that's part of what he's doing there. But he's still got his staff, and he's still protecting himself. And again, I think that likely aligns pretty well with Tiwaz, standing your ground. Being true to who you are, being true to your values and principles, making sure that they are lofty instead of ego-based. Next, we come to the Sun, the 19th card of the Major Arcana. Now, that's a 1 energy overall, 1 numerology. That's going to align very well with, it's going to align very well with Caput Draconis. It's also going to reinforce the idea of Kenaz, or the light of spirit, informing our perceptions and our behavior, our decisions, our choices. But here we have the Sun, fully brilliant in the sky, its rays going everywhere, lighting the way. We have a child on a white horse that symbolizes purity and vitality and newness, the beginning of something new. The Sun's about victory, success. It's about clarity, the light returning. So in a sense, that from Kenaz today, from the esoteric influences today, that would align well with that, wouldn't it? You see the wall here behind, and you see the sunflowers up above the wall, trying to reach out to everyone in terms of vitality and success and security. But again, it's like right now with the idea of the winter solstice, we have the light of, we have the sun, we have the goddess giving birth to the sun. And so now, even though it doesn't seem like it, the light time is actually increasing. And so in that regard, it represents the return of the sun. It represents the return of the light. And so the sun here would be happiness, fulfillment. Can also represent the self. In astrology, the sun sign is really the self sign, although in esoteric astrology, it's your rising sign that really is the soul's purpose. The sun may reflect how you manifest all of that, but you always want to look at your ascendant when you're in your natal chart so that you can actually see who you really are. You're going to find that whatever sign that is. I'm a Libra, but my ascendant is my rising sign is Virgo, and so you can see a lot of who I am in who a Virgo personality is, not just the Libra side, but the higher purpose side and all of that. You can see that in there, and go and look at your natal chart and pay attention to your rising sign and see just how much of you can see yourself in that, and I'll bet you'll see a lot of yourself in it. But this is about clarity, success, reunion, awakening, and again that can align with Caput Draconis today. And then we move on to the Two of Cups, and here you have healing and reciprocity. You see the winged sun above, you see the caduceus below. Now that's healing. All right, we see the man is taking a step forward to the woman, and you can see his hand is here as well. He's reaching out to her. Now you can look at this in terms of balanced polarity if you want to, similar to the Lover's card, where you have the feminine and the masculine, or the receptive and the projective. But perhaps the projective side is a little bit too much. Maybe ego's happening too much. You can think of this as the void, or the void of creation on the receptive side. That would be the goddess side. Or you could just look at this in terms of two people that have had an issue, and now they're finding a way to heal that. You see the line of demarcation here, which I always interpret as this is now and then this is then, or this is the future. But there's a difference here in terms of time. And so you see here, it looks like their home is there, up on top of the little knoll or hill that's right here. Their home is right there. And maybe there's been an issue where things need to be healed, and with clarity that can happen. So maybe there was an argument, maybe there was some tension, maybe there was something where you felt you needed to stand your ground. You did so with Tiwaz, with the spiritual warrior within, so you drew from higher self-awareness as opposed to reacting with ego. The seven energies saying that you're going to stand back and you're going to look and see what is actually happening. So if this is a 7, this is a 1, 8, 9, 10. Okay, this actually then the numerology for the whole reading is going to be a 10 or a 1, and again that's going to align very well with Caput Draconis and New Beginnings. So it's possible here that something has shifted. Maybe this is where Pur comes in, and it can define the scattered little boy energy. Maybe there was a lack of impulse control. Say you and your spouse, one of you had some impulse control issues. It caused some issues. The other person had to stand their ground, maybe. Excuse me. And then suddenly, it's clear after discussion, what the truth of the moment really is all about. And so there needs to be a little healing. And so the other one person says to the other, well, I'm sorry, and I want to heal the issues between us. And so maybe the other person is ready to maybe step up and do a little more in that regard. So see if that's what's going on for you today. It kind of just feels like a personal situation where one person got a little out of control, and for whatever reason, it doesn't. With Pur, it's not like Rubius. Rubius is the real adult version of this. This is I raised 2 boys, and they're everywhere, right? And so their focus is scattered, and maybe they're a little impulsive and they act without thinking. That's just, that can be it doesn't matter if it's boys or girls, but we see it a lot with little boys. Well, it's not that the responsible little girls can't do the same thing. I was the complement of poor is puella, and I was very scattered. I could be very focused, but I was also, looking at this and that and everything all around me. I found everything. Well, it's the witch in me. You're very curious about everything. You grow up that way where you want to know about everything, right? And so maybe you're involved in this, you're looking into this, and all of a sudden this comes up, and suddenly you're like over here going, oh, what's that? And so that's the kind of energy I'm talking about. It's nothing that's really harmful per se, but it's something that is doesn't necessarily get the job done. And so it could be that sort of situation you're experiencing with a partner, a spouse, or a coworker or something. And at some point, because you've stood your ground, or if it's you that's experiencing it, perhaps the other person stood their ground, some truth came out, and suddenly it's all made clear. But one party needs to maybe kind of memorialize that by saying something about it, like, hey, you know what, I just wanted to let you know I'm sorry about what happened, and and it's not a big deal, right? It doesn't feel like this is a really big deal, but it comes down to sometimes maybe somebody getting so involved in their own focus that they forget to look at the whole picture. And someone else comes in and says, well, realistically, we don't want to do that because this could happen or that could happen, and I'm not comfortable with that, and so maybe that's all this is. And so see if that resonates. Think about it this weekend, and see if any of this, if this is actually what's going on. And if you are the person that needs to kind of say something, then just understand that that's a valuable thing to do. It preserves boundaries. It preserves the relationship itself. It honors one another. That's the thing about truth and owning your own stuff. If you want to blame everybody else, then that whole dynamic is really threatened, I think. So anyway, I think that's it. I don't think we need any more cards. I think we'll do fine with these three. And again, this is a time where how the values that we express to others matters, and understanding the greater picture of things, the wholeness of things. We tend to see things as either or, and it really isn't. You got the either and the or, and they're really part of one whole idea, one whole concept. It's not just one side or the other. It's like the masculine and feminine. It's not one or the other. We possess both qualities within each one of us, irrespective of our gender, right? And so I think it's easy to see where some people are maybe a little more pushy, some people are a little more, reserved, and some will assert, some won't. We can look at that as receptive and projective, feminine and masculine, but don't get caught up in the gender role of that, because that's not what we're talking about. When we talk about feminine and masculine polarity, we're talking about energy. We're talking about movement within the individual, whether you assert or whether you step back. So that's kind of what that is. It's like, we see it in a negative sense with passive aggressive individuals, where and we all know them, right? Where people will be passive about what they're saying. They'll use a passive voice, and they'll get people to do all kinds of stuff for them, when all they really had to do is say, would you do this? Be direct, right? But they can't. They've got to be passive about it, and it ends up being manipulative, right? But all that is within one whole experience. It's not an either or, so we have to stop thinking that way. And I think the Two of Cups explains that pretty well. So anyway, think reciprocity, think love, think healing, think boundaries, think observation, all of that today. So anyway, thanks for watching. And the forecast will go up today here in a little bit. Also tomorrow, I do that Monday through Friday on the blog over at Stepping Aside. And And again, the web address there is imsteppingaside.com. If you want to, like I said, if you want a little more information on what I'm going to recommend for magic today, you can go over to the Patreon page and sign up there and get that. I put a little more there than what I do on the blog. I just kind of do a little bit there. But other than that, I guess that's it. Have a good day. Have a good rest of the week, and happy New Year. You know, we're lots of different New Years. We kind of talk about that over at Halloween or Samhain. We talk that's kind of a new year. Winter solstice is kind of represents a new year, and now we have New Year's Day coming. That's another new year. So it's all of this opening the door to something else. And again, remember Jupiter in Pisces. This is a cool thing. We'll see where it takes us. You know. Anyway. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe. I hope you'll do that and come back if you haven't already done that. And join us Mondays and Thursdays for As Above, So Below. And then whatever else I happen to put up the rest of the week. We're kind of on grandbaby watch. She's due January 15th, my daughter-in-law. So again, if I'm not here when I'm supposed to be, that's what's happening. So anyhow. Thanks a lot for watching and have a good weekend. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.